Hey everyone, Kyle once again, and welcome back to the next episode review of Season 2 of Call of the Night. Excuse me. So now we're on to episode 23 now. So, I was like, oh, oh shit, after Miss Detective accidentally shot Ko, so I was like, uh-oh. But now we see that it was clearly an accident, and he wasn't sent to the hospital, and but then he's baffled because his wound miraculously healed that quickly, despite being shot right down here. So he's wondering now, how did he heal so fast? And we see that, and in the hospital, the detective, she apologized for shooting him because she was really trying to shoot herself, kill herself. So she didn't mean to shoot him. It's just like she was so hell bent on killing vampires. It just drove her crazy for 10 years, and she wanted to prove, have if she would have proved the vampires exist, like how if she could show the world that someone, if she got killed by a vampire in front of everybody, probably prove that all the vampires exist, and people will live in fear of that, though, that they exist. But and then with Nazuna, um, she also wanted to apologize to her. And she's like, well, she said, oh, I'm sorry that I couldn't fall in love with you back then. It's been 10 years. I'm 28 now because her birthday is Halloween, and so they wanted to rekindle their friendship together. Back then, how they were happy back then before all its hell started for her. I mean, she was just, so upset, after what happened to her father, then her mom, and so she was so really wanted to exterminate all vampires within time, and just so one thing lead to another. They kind of now basically they become drinking buddies now, because next time we see her, she cut her hair a bit. It's a little more shorter, like how it was back then. And they end up going out drinking together. Like now they're just best buddies now. Well, she doesn't want to have a beer because she's a lightweight. Even with just like a couple of sips, she immediately gets drunk. So, and but then Uko was asking, how did his wound heal so quickly? Well, she says that you are still a human because you still have a pulse, though, because vampires don't. And so, and they says we won't get fangs yet, though. But I think it's because it's the emotions of, she's saying about it's the emotions of, the love of you find for, I guess. Is I guess is his fighting spirit of for being a vampire that probably led to him for his wound to heal that quickly. But she doesn't have all the answers, though, because but that's one of one of the explanations they're trying to give. So, like, okay. And then Obo Ko was saying, hey, talking to Heiko, though, the teacher vampire, and say, hey, everything's all right, and they're saying, like, hey, well, apparently that there was a shooting, that that might have been filmed for something, but it was so real. Oh well. And then the detective goes to that one guy she borrowed the costume from, and it's like, hey, want to share a smoke? I'm willing to. Hey, you want to go out, have a drink? But I'll let this go. But just don't tell your wife. Don't cheat on your wife anymore. He's like, oh, okay, I promise. And that's what leads to her cutting her hair, and then having a drink with Koa Nazuna. So, but the chance whether he will, but is the chance that Ko will become a vampire? Yeah, because if his wound just miraculously healed that fast, there's chances where he maybe will become a vampire. And then it's funny seeing just the Miss Detective Anko just a couple of sips of beer, and he just gets immediately just drunk and so. But yeah, so now there's after all of that, now there's back to being drinking buddies. They're just drinking buddies now. So is it that like it's like the how both Nazuna and Anko they rekindled their relationship, you know. So, but but overall, yeah, this is a much shorter one. So, but it's like she apologized for shooting Ko. It wasn't meant for him, but she was supposed to shoot herself, but Nazuna stopped her, you know, and so. But it was nice to see that they're back to being buddies now. So, but yeah, so Call the Night episode 23. Short though, but still a good episode and much better the development of the character, especially between the detective and Nazan, you know. So it's like how they were back then when they first met, you know, back when she was still in school. But anyway, yeah, episode 23 was still a good episode regardless though. So yeah, and plus this series has been a very good. I've enjoyed the series overall. So, but anyway, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next episode review. We'll see you next time. Later.